All right, welcome everyone. If you're an energy pro, you already live and breathe building automation systems. But let me ask you this. Are you really treating your BAS like a core business asset? Or is it still just, well, a fancy operational tool? In this explainer, we're going to get past the basics and really dig into how you can frame your BAS as a true strategic driver of profitability.
Okay, so this quote right here, this is basically our anchor for this entire conversation. We're not just here to talk about shaving off a few kilowatt hours here and there. No, we're talking about leveraging this amazing technology to directly beef up the bottom line and give your company a real competitive edge. Everything we're going to cover today comes right back to this idea.
So, here's a quick look at our roadmap. We'll kick things off with the core mission, then jump into some advanced control strategies. After that, we'll talk about turning data into decisions, and we'll wrap up by looking at what's next for automation. Let's get to it.
All right, first up, the core energy mission. Let's really set the stage here and establish the why behind all this. We've moved way beyond simple timers, right? And it's not just for convenience. It's about a massive shift in perspective. Seeing the BAS not as a line item expense, but as a powerful strategic investment.
Okay, first things first, let's get a crucial point of clarity out of the way. As pros, we hear these terms thrown around a lot, sometimes interchangeably. But it's so important to remember that an energy management control system, an EMCS, is really just one specific application that runs on the much bigger platform of a modern building automation system. Think of it this way. The BAS is the entire building's nervous system, right? The EMCS is just a specialized program, a set of instructions running on that system.
So what's the actual business case? Well, it's pretty straightforward. A BAS pays for itself through cold, hard financial returns. It does the tedious work that no manual operator could ever keep up with, and that's what makes the savings stick around. And this isn't just about small operational tweaks, This is a genuine capital improvement that can literally increase the building's appraisal value. It's a real asset.
Okay, moving on to advanced control strategies. Now we get to the fun stuff. This is where we get into the specific strategies that unlock the real power of a BAS. This is where our expertise as energy professionals translates directly into dollars and cents.
First up, let's talk about demand management. For any big facility, you know that peak demand charges can be an absolute killer. They're often the single biggest chunk of the utility bill. Well, a properly configured BAS is your absolute best weapon for attacking that cost head-on.
So the two main tactics we're using here are duty cycling and demand limiting or shedding. But look, as experts, we all know the real secret sauce isn't just knowing these terms, it's in the application. It's about programming that BAS with the intelligence to know the difference between, say, a non-critical load it can afford to shed for 15 minutes to avoid hitting a new peak, and a critical system that absolutely has to stay online. That intelligent surgical curtailment, that's where the real money is saved.
And here we have one of my favorite problems, the classic reheat issue. This is one of the biggest energy vampires in the entire HVAC world. Just think about how wild this is. We're paying good money to cool air down, only to turn right around and pay again to heat it back up. It is the textbook definition of inefficiency, and it's exactly the kind of problem a BAS with proper sequencing is built to solve.
But it goes way beyond just fixing basic problems like reheat. A truly optimized BAS is never, ever static. It's almost alive. It's constantly hunting for savings by getting rid of those old fixed set points. Whether it's dynamically resetting supply temperatures or modulating VFDs to perfectly match the load second by second, or even staging boilers to keep them in their sweet spot, the system is always making these tiny micro adjustments that over time add up to massive savings.
So, let's break this down using the analogy on the screen, because it's perfect. From our perspective as experts, this is how it all fits together. The sensors are the building's senses, and if they're not calibrated perfectly, the data is junk. The controllers are the brain, but they're just empty boxes without smart, flexible programming to give them custom logic. And finally, the control devices are the muscles, the valves and dampers, but they can't do the work if they're not sized right. You see, a failure in any one of these, the sensors, the brain, or the muscles, compromises the whole thing.
All right, next section, from data to decisions. So it's great. We have all this incredible technology and these smart strategies. But, that's only half the battle, isn't it? Now we have to actually use the mountains of data this stuff produces and navigate the very real, very human challenges of making it all work in the real world.
So I want you to really think about this for a second. What do you think is the single biggest threat to your energy savings? I mean, you can install the most advanced, state-of-the-art, perfectly commissioned system on the planet, but what's the one thing that can bring it all crashing down?
Yep, it's the human dimension. It's us, it's people. Think about it. An operator who doesn't quite get a new control sequence just flips it into manual override. An occupant who's a little chilly for 5 minutes finds a way to bypass a setting. Without a really solid training and communication plan, people can and will completely derail a project's long-term success.
And here's another more subtle human factor that I'm sure we've all seen. It's this idea of excess reliability. You know, it's that old school practice of running an extra boiler or an extra chiller just in case. It feels safer, right? But in reality, it's just pure, unadulterated inefficiency. A data-driven BAS gives you the hard evidence, the confidence, to finally break that costly habit and run the plant exactly as lean as it was designed to be run. So, how do we overcome these hurdles and, maybe more importantly, how do we get funding for the next project? We can't just walk into the CFO's office and promise savings. We have to prove them. And the gold standard, the professional way to do that, is with rigorous measurement and verification. You know it, M&V. Following a recognized protocol like IPMVP, well, that's what gives our work undeniable credibility. The methodology itself is actually pretty straightforward, a simple 4-step process. You establish a solid, weather-normalized baseline. You implement your conservation measures. You measure the energy used after the fact, and then you verify the savings. This process right here, this is how you translate your operational wins into a financial report that gets the C-suite to sit up and pay attention.
And this is where it all comes together. Your BAS is the workhorse, right? It's out there on the front lines, collecting thousands and thousands of data points every single minute. But all that raw data has to go somewhere. It feeds your Energy Information System, your EIS. That's the platform where you do the high-level analysis, the cool visualizations, and, crucially, the M&V reporting we were just talking about. The two systems are a team.
Okay, for our final section, let's look to the horizon. The future of automation. Because I'm telling you, the very definition of what a BAS is, it's changing right under our feet, and it's happening fast. I mean, think about the journey we've been on. It's been pretty incredible. We went from these old, siloed, proprietary networks to the open protocols like BACnet and LawnWorks that we all use today. But the next giant leap is already here. Fully integrating the BAS into the main enterprise IT infrastructure using standard web protocols like TCP/IP. This is what finally shatters the last barriers between building operations and the rest of the corporate data world.
And that integration, that is what unlocks the entire next generation of what we call building intelligence. It's not just about control anymore. We're talking about applying big data analytics to predict faults before they even happen. We're talking about integrating with the smart grid to turn our buildings from just passive energy consumers into active and sometimes even revenue-generating participants in the energy market. It's a whole new ballgame. So I'm going to leave you with this one final question to chew on. The technology has clearly evolved, but has our thinking evolved with it? Are you, still treating the BAS like a simple utility, like the plumbing? Or are you truly leveraging it as a core business intelligence tool? Because honestly, how we answer that question is going to define the entire future of our profession.